Hi, Paolo. Yeah, it's quite funny, I think, because my girlfriend, who's now my wife, wanted to go to holiday, and it was a long flight, like 10 hours. And I said, no, I won't go in an airplane 10 hours without any cigarette. I won't do that. So I really didn't do that. And then one day I got an email, a spam mail, like smoking in the airplane. And it was like 2008, I think, like more than 14 years ago. And I was like, oh, that's great. I have to try it. And I ordered it. And this was a really, really shitty e-cigarette that looks like a real cigarette. And I tried it, and it didn't work well, but I saw absolutely the potential of it. So I searched in the internet and found something better. Of course, for us nowadays, it's still shit. These were like batteries with 90 milliampere hours batteries. So very weak stuff, but better than the one I got from the spam mail. So I ordered a new one. It was the DSE 901, and it worked out very well. I was a heavy smoker from 40, 50 cigarettes a day, and I just needed, there wasn't liquids at that time, so we had to buy like depots. It was like mouthpieces with cotton inside and a little bit of liquid. So with the 80 milligrams and the right drag technique, you really had to find the perfect drag technique to get vapor out of it. I think the power was like 5 watt. So 5 watt with 80 milligram of nicotine worked out, and I didn't smoke never again in my life, not even one cigarette. So even this really bad e-cigarette could bring me away from cigarettes. So it was great. And I was, back in the days, I was a musician and music producer. So when my wife got pregnant, I was like, oh my God, how can I feed kids with music? After finding out, or after quitting smoking with these cigarettes, I turned out very quick to buy to build own mods. So own mods with the 14450 or 14400 battery, the small ones like AA, but with 3.7 volt. They look like small, like, yeah, when you open the garage with your car, like remote controls. So I bought pieces and make my own mods, and called some e-cigarette shops to get the 510 connector, and yeah, so then the liquids came and I started to drip. So because the depots were not so good, so you put like 3 drops and you had like 3 or 4 drags. Yeah, and this, so I started to build some mods for friends, and then as I wanted to say, my wife got, my girlfriend, now my wife, got pregnant, and I was like, oh, I have to feed a child. So this was, this was the time when I was thinking, okay, I'm good in music and in e-cigarettes too, so I'm gonna start a company called Pipeline. Pipeline, the name came from the wedding holiday I had with my wife. There was a guy, always back in the days in 2008-9, nobody knew e-cigarettes. It was very new. So I was on holiday, but this was like, I think 2010 or 11, and I always had my e-cigarette, and he said, hey, what are you doing with your Pipeline in your mouth? And so the idea of Pipeline came, and yeah, then I asked Andy, I want to do an e-cigarette company, what's up, let's do it together, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. Harris, one of the modders, he had a company called Unicorn Vape, and he was the decoders distributor in China. So he sold mainly high-end decoders, Stadtquan, steam pipes, Typhoon, and all European brands. And he made the Chariot just for him and his friends. So it was more like a project. Let's do an atomizer how I like it, or how I would like it to be. And then he sent like 2 prototypes to Decodus. And Decodus said to Harris, yeah, you have to send it to Patrick. So they sent it to me and they told me, yeah, I have a Chinese atomizer for you to test. And I wasn't really motivated. I was like, oh, Chinese atomizer, yeah, okay, send it to me. But I didn't really care. And then I got the first Chariot prototype in my hands and I looked at it and I was like, oh shit, that's good. I was impressed. I was like, hey, it has excellent taste. I love the chamber, but there were some things I didn't like about it. So I contacted Harris and I said, this atomizer is too loud. We need a silencer inside, and I made the drawing how to make the silencer. And so our cooperation started. And so we worked on the Chariot, and when it was finished, when both were happy, we released the Chariot. And yeah, we were totally overwhelmed of the success because we didn't expect anything. We just, it was very difficult to say it's high-end made in China, but Harris and Damon and Alex, so the whole Arcana Mods crew, they are modders. They don't manufacture in Shenzhen. They haven't anything to do with this Shenzhen style of manufacturer. So they are modders, but they are born in a country where you think the quality is bad, but this is totally wrong. In China, it depends how much you pay for the product. You get like for 3,000 euro, very high-end built MacBook Pros from Apple. And I'm not sure that a German or European could make it better. So it's the same. In Europe, we're used to say, oh, we want something cheap, mass production, so we ask China. Of course, they can do it. But if I would ask Harris to make a Chariot and I would say I don't pay more than 20 euro, I will never get this quality, not at all. So Harris is a modder, he knows what high-end quality is. And of course, I don't tell him how much I will pay. So we work on a product, and when it's finished, I say, okay, what's the price? And the price is not a discussion. It's very good quality, even on Arcana 22. If you imagine this top cap, this is the diamond cut. The diamond cut top cap needs 130 minutes on the machine. So it can't be a cheap part. It's 130 minutes, it's more than 2 hours. So yeah, Harris and me, we think very similar, and we got friends very quickly. Like, we also talk about private stuff, and he was part of the guys where I shared the mix of the album of a new record from my band, and so we talk about everything. We talk nearly every day, and so it's a very good cooperation, because both of us, we love e-cigarettes. We think it's something great. We love it, and there's a lot of passion. So of course, if you're selling e-cigarettes, you earn your money mostly with liquids. But if I would just do this job just to earn money, I would get bored. I would get unsatisfied. So I'm very happy that I met Harris, because now, we live our passion. There's a lot of passion inside these products. Arcana 22, the project, we worked like a year on this project, and at the beginning it was only that Harris and me, we were talking like just from the beginning I said I like small atomizers, I like slim atomizers, and he was like, yeah, me too. And we both found out that we love 22mm atomizers. Chariot was 23. So yeah, Harris started making a prototype and sent it to me, and then I told him what I think about it and what I would change, and at the beginning it was very different to the Arcana 22 we have now. Because Harris wanted to do something totally different, and I was more like, no, we need the automatic mode. I love this, what we had on Chariot already, that everything is done by the top cap. So, but on Chariot, if you you open the top cap and then you had to turn a little bit more to close the liquid control. So on this one, it's even better, because if you turn the top cap, first the liquid control closes and then the top cap opens. So you don't have to think anymore. You just open the top cap, you fill it, and you close the top cap. That's it. So when you open the top cap, as soon as the top cap is open, the liquid control and the AFC is closed. As soon as the top cap is closed, everything is back to work. So liquid control is open and the airflow too. So So this was, we wanted to do a small atomizer. It's very small, but you have like 3.5 ml liquid, even if it's so small. So these were the targets. We wanted to make something different. So Chariot brings out more the sweetness in the liquid. The Arcana doesn't pronounce the sweetness, but is very neutral. So it depends on your liquid, of course. And yeah, we wanted to do a small atomizer. We wanted to have the handling even more easy. And so I wanted that O-rings are invisible. You don't see any O-rings here. These are details, but I love this detail. Always when I had a great atomizer, I was like, why is there the O-ring? I like glass, I like metal, but I don't like to see the O-ring. Here you don't see the O-ring. So yeah, these are all points where I must say Harris is great to work with him, because when he sent me a prototype, I say, yeah, it's great, but I don't want to see the O-ring. He's like 5 minutes later, he's saying, yeah, no problem, we can remove it. So I never heard anything like it's not possible. And same, the first prototype, you just could remove the tank like this. Now you have a locking system. You can remove it, but when it's ready to vape, you cannot remove it. And when you close it, when you're in an airplane or somewhere, you cannot remove it too. These are all details where we worked, where Harris and me said, let's try this, let's try that. And at the end, 1 year later, we had a product where we said, yeah, okay, so let's go. So we didn't think about how are other atomizers or what should we do. It was more like a passion thing. It was more like, okay, Chariot is great, let's do something else that won't have the same taste, but that will be an evolution. About the future, I won't tell you so much right now, but I can tell you that we have a lot of plans, we have a lot of ideas. So right now we work on Arcana 22 parts. There will be different AFC rings for 23 and 24 millimeter mods. We will do a DLC version, but that will have a different design than the standard Arcana 22. And everything else we're planning, I don't want to talk to you about it right now, because first we need to work on it, we need prototypes. I don't like to talk about something that maybe will not be released. So I prefer to talk about it when it's time, when we have the first prototypes and when we see it's exactly what we wanted. We're gonna release this for sure. This is a difficult question, because I think I'm very, in this terms, liquids, I'm very different than other vapors. I'm more like a smoker. You remember when somebody smoked Marlboro, he just wanted Marlboro, he didn't want Camel. Of course, when I was a smoker. Before I didn't smoke, I bought any cigarette, I was fixed on a brand as a smoker. And so I am as a vapor, so I always vape the same liquid, always. So I don't change. Sometimes I do change, like for half an hour, just to neutralize my taste, but I don't change the liquid. And I have a strange liquid taste. Normally I would like to have the exact Red Bull aroma, but it doesn't exist. I tried a lot, but it's never the same. So I'm vaping a liquid that, because I love Red Bull, but my stomach doesn't like if I drink too much. So, but I like the taste. So I'm more like the guy who's vaping artificial taste. Red Bull is an artificial taste, and there's no Red Bull liquid. So, but the one I'm vaping Pink Grape. It's from our manufacturer. It's a pipeline liquid, and it has this artificial style that I like. But I mostly vape because of the nicotine, not because of the taste. Of the taste, yeah. You know, if you want to eat something, I eat it. I don't vape it. But I don't say that what I'm doing is right or wrong. Everyone is different, and yeah. So the main reason why what I really want when I'm vaping is a very smooth vape, even with a high nicotine rate. I'm still vaping with 12 milligram per milliliter. So if the compression of an atomizer is not very high, it gets harsh. So this is why I like having a lot of compression to get a very smooth vape, even with 12 milligrams. So I think the nicotine is the most important part to me. So I need a atomizer with a good taste, with a smooth draw, with a smooth throated, and yeah, then I'm happy. So of course, I've tried a lot of liquids, and of course I say this one is good and this one is good, but yeah, but I vape every day the same liquid, and I'm happy with it. I think every vape market is very different. So the German is very different to the French one, is very different to the Italian one, and so on. So, of course, I've been in many countries on many vape expos, so for years, so you see the difference. So the Germans are very, they like high-end stuff. They like, it's a little bit like, when you compare France and Germany, it's a little bit like if you are on a highway from France to Germany or from Germany to France. The Germans have like very good cars, expensive cars like Mercedes, Audi, BMW and all this stuff. But they eat like a sausage for €3. And the French has more like smaller cars, sometimes bumpy cars, but they eat a big menu with 6 courses. So it's a little bit similar when I look, the German high-end market is much bigger than in France, but the liquid market is much bigger in France than in Germany. In Germany, you see people saying a liquid has to be cheap. In France, of course, you have everywhere in the world, you have different people, of course, but I'm talking about the majority. Yeah? In France, the majority, they're ready to pay a little bit more for liquid, but to have a very good liquid. And they prefer buying like cheaper hardware. And in Germany, it's the opposite. And in Italy, the Italian market is very different again. The Italians are vaping a lot of NET liquids. NET, it nearly doesn't exist on the German market. On the French market, it's a very, very small area. So NET is very big in Italy. Boro mods in Germany is total underground. In Italy, Boro mods are very popular, and the Italian likes different chimneys. So this is a thing that we don't really understand if you look at German manufacturers like Suomesto with the Kaifun, like Typhoon, like Flashy Vapor. You don't have different chimneys. You have one chimney, and everything else is set by the liquid, by the airflow, and so I've tried the chimneys, but I'm it's a question of taste. I think the main difference between let's say normal liquid and an NET liquid is that the NET liquid needs a little bit more heat, so it needs less compression. If you have less compression, there's less compression on the coil, so the coil gets hotter. But it's a different having less compression or more power. It's similar, but it's different. So if you vape a Latakia, it needs a certain temperature to get that smoky taste. And I've tried, even if I vape always the same liquid. Of course, I've tried the NET, the Italian liquids, so and I like them. I just don't like that I have to coil so often. But this is another subject. I know Italians told me there's now white NET and you don't have to coil a lot. But right now we can't try it. No Italian can send us a liquid because we have the tax here, and the Germans are very strict with tax. So we cannot even get samples. If we would like samples, I would have to organize that the liquid goes to a manufacturer who has a tax stock. There he can put the tax on and then send me the sample. So it's because it's not like in Italy where only liquids are taxed. Here in Germany everything is taxed. The liquid is taxed, the base is taxed, the aroma is taxed. So I cannot order legally any tea, and I can't even tell to a partner, just send me a bottle, a sample. The risk is too big. In Germany, in Germany you get in prison longer if you don't pay tax than if you kill your neighbor. So it's something I don't want to play with. But to come back to the difference, the Italians really use different chambers. I tried a lot, but for my personal, everybody's having different experience, has a different taste. But for my personal experience, I think the compression makes a bigger difference than the chimney. The chimney is very important, of course. If it's too thin, you will have more condensation. If it's too flat, you will have more condensation too. So I see a difference for me personally of a good or bad chimney. But I think when a chimney is good and you know what you do, you can. I've tried Latakia in Arcana 22, and I played with the compression. So I put the 1.8 pin inside, and I reduced the air through the airflow ring. Normally, you put the AFC pin that you like the most, and with the AFC ring, you just change the compression. So more holes are open, more compression, less holes are open, less compression. So when you put a 1.8, of course, it's not a tight draw, so then you adjust the airflow by the AFC ring. So I made like 2 half holes and 1.8, and I tried, and of course, this got me very much more the Latakia smoky taste, like I know it from NET atomizers, from Italian atomizers. So this was a real difference. But even if you vape them with more compression, you've got a different taste. So I wouldn't say one is good and the other one is bad. So even with all these chimneys, I'm sure somebody will say, yeah, this chimney is perfect for Latakia, and the other one will say, no, I like this one with fruit. So tastes are so different, and yeah, and this is a very Italian thing to have different chimneys. We don't have it here, and yeah, with Arcana 22, we made now a Latakia chimney. We're gonna try it, and I'm gonna try tonight or this evening. But still, I think the compression is much more important, I think. So yeah, and speaking about the German market, we have tax since the 13th of February. So all liquids, all aromas, all bases, even PG and VG are taxed now. So nobody will sell a liter of base anymore, because the tax would be 160 euro plus VAT. This means like 190 euro just tax on 1 liter. So yeah, we had to destroy or to ship all liquids in other countries. Now you're not allowed to have any liquid without tax anywhere. And yeah, so it's a big change. It was a lot of work to change all the systems, but I think the Italians know this. And yeah, so the German market will even more be different than others. It's different anyway, but the tax will make a difference too. I would say for normal vapors, so vapors that are not in the community, that are not on Facebook, so vapors that really use an e-cigarette just not to smoke, they don't care, because we had them in the store and they say, yeah, everything is more expensive. Fuel is more expensive too, and food is more expensive, so no problem. But of course, a part of the community that was used to buy like 1 liter of base for 10 euro, they won't be happy, but that's life. We can't change it. That's the government's decision, and of course, I like free vaping, so of course it's not great, but I don't think that the e-cigarette will die just because now we have to pay a little bit more. But I must say, these cigarettes were expensive, alcohol is expensive, so vaping was very cheap, and now it's still cheaper than smoking if you vape MTL. So yeah, it's bad, but it's not catastrophic. In Germany you have a lot of people mixing their own liquids. In France you have less of these people. So every country is different, and I don't think there's any right or wrong. The main thing and the really important thing is that we all stop smoking. The future of vaping in Europe, I must say, I don't know. I'm a very optimistic guy. I'm not crying if something happens what is bad, because even if you cry, it won't change anything. So I try to make the best out of the situations, but in Germany especially, you really have a lot of influence you have a lot of lobbyism in Germany from big tobacco and big pharma, and they always try to kill the e-cigarettes from day one. So I must say I get used to it. It's nothing new. It's like standard, and of course they will try to kill us more and more. But I think the vape industry is guilty too, because when I see everybody like selling disposable, you must imagine 2 milliliter of liquids, and you throw a device with a lithium-ion battery in trash or in the woods or in the sea. I think that would even be old school in the 80s. You know, we're in 2023. We shouldn't have such products on the market. So I don't understand the politics why these kind of products are legal here. And of course, the disposable. I think our biggest enemy the vape industry is the biggest enemy right now, because the disposable it has no advantage. It's expensive. It tastes very sweet, okay? So the taste, the marketing is more like, I think it's very, kids will like it. So you have the environment problem. People are really, when I go with the bike here in the office, I see disposables everywhere, on the street, in the parks. So, because it has no value. So the people, they finish it and they throw it away. So right now, I think we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't sell these things. We shouldn't buy these things. We don't sell. Pipeline Germany will never sell disposables. But of course, for the vape industry, it's a lot of money. The margin is good, and so everybody it reminds many on the good times, you know. So, but they're destroying their own business with this, because we're the environment, then the kids. Of course, it's great for kids, not because it's good, no, but kids will like this product because it has 20 milligram of nicotine, so they get dizzy, like, oh, wow, and it has a very fruity, sweet taste, and it's small, it's not expensive, so of course kids will like it, of course. If I think back when I was 14, when you're 14, you don't think like an adult. You don't think about what is good, what is bad for you. You just think, what's fun? And I think when I would be 14, I would buy a disposable and would say, yeah, great, take 3 drags, and it's like, and it tastes wonderful. So yeah, I understand that the kids are vaping this, but of course it's very, very bad for the e-cigarette, because the politicians for years are searching for reasons why the e-cigarette is bad. And we had so many studies saying, no, kids doesn't vape e-cigarettes because it's not cool. E-cigarette is not cool, especially the mods and everything. And so we were on a point where the politics trust us, and they saw the studies and said, yeah, okay, we don't have the big kid problem. And now the disposable is coming, and we have a kid problem everywhere in Europe, in schools and everywhere. The parents see it, the teachers see it. So I think the disposables are the worst thing that ever happened to the e-cigarette. This is what I think. And I don't understand the vape industry, because they say, yeah, great, we sell hundreds of it every day. Yes, but you don't need a vape store for a disposable. You just need a supermarket. And here in Germany, you can buy disposables on supermarkets and gas stations, everywhere. Even on the hairdresser, he's selling disposables. So there's nothing. Even a cigarette is more complicated because you need a lighter. On a disposable, you just use it and you throw it away. So why does it need vape shops to sell e-cigarettes? So more the vape industry is pushing disposables, less the vape shops will be important, less we will have, or let's say more we will be attacked by the politics because of the youth problem and because of the trash waste problem. So the only, I don't find anything positive, even if some people are saying, yeah, it brings smokers to vape. No, it doesn't. Of course it does a little bit, but the price we pay for it is much too high. So on a very good vape shop, if a smoker comes in and you have a good crew, they can bring the smoker to an e-cigarette without selling a disposable. So of course the vape industry is saying this because, yeah, it's something where you make a lot of money, yeah. But it kills the e-cigarettes. So when you ask me about the future of vaping in Europe, I'm more worried than ever. I stay positive and I hope that something is happening, that disposable gets banned and it disappears and the kids won't buy like refillable systems, especially if they're expensive. So I would rather prefer e-cigarettes never to be under 30 euro, so the kids doesn't have the money to buy them, and because they would need 30 euro and a liquid, so it's with the tax it's like almost 40 euro. So more it's expensive, more it's difficult to use, less it will be attractive to kids. And so I can't tell you what the future will be. I think the future will be that we will have tax everywhere in Europe. And I think that the politicians will try to ban the aroma. And if they ban the aroma, it's a very good possibility to kill vaping. Not totally, but a big part of it. And I think if you ban aromas, it's going to be even more dangerous, because just think further. They ban aromas, so the vapors say, okay, I don't care, I buy aroma in the supermarket, like aroma for that you use for making cake. And of course, if there's sugar inside or oil, it's very bad for your lungs, so there will be problems. And then what is the last way out for politicians? To say only closed system allowed. And closed systems, then I would say congratulations to Big Tobacco. This is what you wanted. This is what you can do. This is where you're strong at. And the vape shops will die. So, okay, this is very negative. I don't stay negative. If I would think so negative, I won't be there. I would look for something else. So I will fight till the end. But it's going to be a big fight and the hardest fight, because, the disposable makes all problems much bigger than they have always been always have been before. So what can I say? I hope they're gonna ban it as fast as possible. And tomorrow, this would be the best thing for vaping in Europe. So let's hope that all these negative things won't happen. Let's hope that there won't be a flavor ban. So let's hope that the disposable is gonna be forbidden soon, and we can go on and vape with passion as we did it like the last 15 years. Paolo, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for your questions. Bye.